So just getting in the Word and looking at Pharisees and Sadducees and pondering some graven images. I'm
Yep. That's what he's
looking at conditioned reflex, reaction, and response. When they design
reflex,
graven images,
reaction, and response.
they're trying to condition
Yeah.
us to reflex,
That's what they do.
reaction, and response.
Flugenflat, woof.
Hey, today I'm just pondering different kind of peculators.
Well, it's almost out of time already.
Sadducees, there's two groups. There are against Christ
15 seconds.
in Christ's ministry, and we're
Get
told
your
that that's
yammer
for the
on.
sake
Finish your yammer.
of perfecting Christ.
Finish your
Paul
yammer.
says there
Finish
are
your
enemies to make us stronger. It's not going to make us. There's.
I've been saved. I've been saved.
Good morning. so the bottom line, after all the outtakes and all that stuff, is looking at the peculators, the swindlers, the chiselers, the cheese artists and scammers that are out there. My pastor talks about them all the time. They'll sell you napkins and make gold come out of your mouth, and a lot of people flop around on the floor and oh, this must be really spiritual because it's all got a lot of hype. And you know, the Pharisees and the Sadducees were a large part of that group. The Pharisees were, it says, Pharisees, they're separatists, exclusively religious, a sect that seems to have started after the Jewish exile. In addition to Old Testament books, the Pharisees recognized in oral tradition a standard of belief in life. They sought for distinction and praise by outward observance of external rites and by outward forms of piety, and such as ceremonial washings, fastings, prayers, and almsgiving, and comparatively negligent of genuine piety. They weren't really honest people. Outwardly, just like Jesus told them, he said, outwardly, you're whited sepulchres full of dead men's bones. Dead men, you know, thieves and stuff who would rob people, and they're like, hey, we can incorporate that. Remember, there was a time when Asa was being attacked. Asa in Israel was being attacked by King Baasha, I think of Syria. I think he was the king of Syria, or maybe he was of Israel, but he went against Asa and built a city of siege. Well, he heard a rumor and went away, and Asa and his men went and tore down the cities of that they were building, and Asa took the stones and the wood and built 3 other cities. He incorporated those besieging tactics into Israel. Well, here we see the Pharisees and Sadducees incorporating the works of dead men. Think of spiritually dead men. Okay, Sorosis. I don't really know him, but you see a lot about him in the news. Apparently, he was a Jewish man who was in captivity, but he somehow got out of captivity because he was willing to do bad things against his own people. So somehow he made it out of all that by turning to do evil deeds to his own people. Well, the Pharisees take these men's principles, and they put them into their thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors. Outwardly, they were doing religious service, and outwardly, they were pious. But inside, they had dead men's bones. They were like whited sepulchres. They looked good on the outside, but inside, they had practices and principles of other men that they incorporated into their life that was very crafty, very evil. You see the kangaroo court they put Jesus through. Outward forms of piety and such ceremonial washings, fastings, prayers, almsgiving, comparatively negligent of genuine piety. They prided themselves on their fancied good works. They believed in angels, good and bad, and expected Messiah, and they cherished the hope of the dead after a preliminary experience. Okay, these Pharisees always made people go through preliminary experiences. They believed that the dead, after a preliminary experience, after either of reward or penalty in Hades, would be recalled to life by him and requited each according to his individual deeds. Now, if I were to consider the three-ring circus going on as a preliminary experience, rather good or bad, in Hades, if this were to be Hades, you could say a living purgatory is what they try to put you to. And then when one is brought back to life, they're requited each according to his individual deeds. Okay, so now what you do in this preliminary experience, can I air quote that? Whatever you do in your preliminary experience is requited you in your resurrected life. Okay, so I see a great big relationship between the three-ring circus and the Pharisees. And you know, you got some Sadducees in here too. The Sadducees, Saducean or Saduceans. The righteous is what Sadducees were. They were air quoted, the righteous. They denied that the oral law was a revelation of God to the Israelites, and who deemed the written law alone to be obligatory on the nation as divine authority. They denied the following doctrines: resurrection of the body, immortality of souls, existence of spirits and angels, and divine predestination and affirmed free will. These are the things they denied. But the big thing here is they denied that the oral law was a revelation of God to the Israelites. The divine law revealed the character and nature of God that we can't imitate. Okay? Now they take that and they turn around, they say, who deemed the written law alone to be obligatory on the nation. They believed that the law was the law, and you know, so they were legalists. Okay, you have legalists, and then you have very perverted men with corrupt minds who act pious, but inside they're full of dead men's bones. You got this whole group in the watchtower in Samaria. And Samaria means watchtower. In the watchtower, watching everybody that they run through the three-ring circus, their preliminary experience. Okay, this is all superimposed on top of what's really going on. God sees what they're doing, and whatever preliminary experience they run us through, there's a real experience on the way, and his name is Jesus Christ. So my thoughts today are, how can I relay and share the love of God with the people that think they are God, that run people through these preliminary experiences? I guess, you know, I looked through all my notes. You know, we can go back to deflecation, efficacy, peculation, defrauding, you know, all these things that evil people do. People with the charagma instead of the sphagus. Remember, the charagma is the mark, the scratch. Once you have the sphagus of God, then you get that scratch. You come out of the will of God and then go back into the will of God, like Shimei did. Shimei ended up losing his life because he went out of Jerusalem and came back in against the oath of the Lord and the commandment of the King Solomon. Now we come into peace with God. We're not to leave peace with God and then come back in, because the same picture that we see in Shimei's story happens to us. Jesus says, go and sin no more. Doesn't mean we're not going to ever sin again. It means go and sin no more. With your heart and mind, we should be really and truly pious, not like these Pharisees and Sadducees who want to play God in people's life and run them through a preliminary experience. So there's lots to think about today. When I look at the world all around us, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, man. So praise God. Have a great day. God bless you.